Hi guys, Miss Nicole here with the Kids at the Library activity. Today what we're going to be working on is dream catchers, and some of you guys have probably seen dream catchers. They're really popular and they're all over the place. Some of you guys might not know where they actually come from though. They're originally part of a Native American tradition, and there's some really fun legends about them as well. So while we're working on our dream catchers today, we're actually going to talk about some of the legends behind it as well, and I found a particularly fun story that I think you guys will like. So in your kits, you are going to find a paper plate that has a ton of hole punches in it. In fact, you might notice there's some on the inner ring, and then there's a couple at the bottom, and then one at the top. And these are actually all going to be parts of where our yarn goes. This top one's actually going to be your hanging point, and these will be, the three at the bottom will be where you hang feathers from, and the inside is where you're going to weave the little web. So there are lots and lots of ways to decorate this kind of a project, and one of the ways that I recommend is crayons. There's also markers. I've seen some amazing paintings done. I've also seen people use beautiful stamps. I left that up to you guys, so that's not going to be in your kit. But what you are going to find in your kit are some cute little bling. So we've got some stars and sequins, as well as some fun pony beads and star beads. You might be able to tell there's something about stars and dreams that I just think go together. You'll also find some yarn. There'll be 2 different little rolls of them in a plastic baggie, as well as 3 feathers, and they'll all be different colors. There's no way to know exactly which colors you're going to get, which is okay, because you can make it match any way you want. So you're welcome to go ahead and color your piece while I'm telling you a little bit about the Native American legends behind dream catchers. So while you work on that, I can give you a quick peek at what I had done. I just did some crayons around the edges and some colors I thought were pretty and made me think of sleep. But a lot of Native American traditions, I've seen it attributed to a couple of different tribes, so I'm not sure exactly where it came from to start with, but talk about using a dream catcher particularly above their bed. And the idea is that it's going to catch bad dreams. I found this really cute story about it that talks about a grandmother in her little home, and above where she was sleeping, a spider had begun to spin a web. And she watched him spin a web for days, and he kept making it bigger, and it was more intricate, and it was growing. And as she's watching him one day, her grandson comes over to visit her, and he sees the spider, and he freaks out and decides that he's going to smush it because clearly it's dangerous. Well, grandmother stops him and says, don't hurt the spider. And the little boy asks, why do you protect the spider? They bite us. And grandmother said, it's part of nature, and she sent him out to play. After the boy had gone out to play, Spider spoke to the grandmother and told her, thank you for saving my life. And he said he noticed she'd been watching him spin and weave his web for days, and that he saw how she admired his work, and that he wanted to thank her for saving his life, and so he was going to give her a gift. He said, watch and see and learn how I weave. I am able to make a web that catches bad dreams. Only good dreams will be able to work their way through, and they will follow feathers down to the bottom over your head, and the good dreams will reach you in the morning when the sun rises. The bad dreams, exposed to the light of day, will disappear. So grandmother decided to make the first dream catcher. Again, I thought that story was super, super cute, and hopefully some of you guys have gotten to the point where you've got a few more colors on there. If you're not quite there yet, that's totally okay. You feel free to pause the video and work on it. You'll also notice one last thing I didn't say was in your kit is a little bit of glue, and this is important because how else are you going to stick on some of this fun bling? I like to do my sequins after I have done all of my painting, or not painting, all of my coloring and decorating, and that way, you don't have it falling off. So I'm going to leave that part up to you guys if you want to put those on there. And what we're going to actually work on next is going to be putting our string in there. And, let me pull all these pieces out. When you find it, you'll find one that's rolled up, and it's actually 3 long pieces of string. And those are going to be for your feathers. So we're going to put these aside for now. And what we want is the other little bundle in here, which is a much longer string. And it helps to unravel it because you're going to be threading it all the way through. So to start with, we're going to go and look at our paper plates and find, actually it's a little easier to see it on the white side, we're going to find that piece that has a star punch above and a star punch below. And that bottom star punch is actually where we're going to start. This will be point 1. And what I'm going to do is just make a little teeny tiny knot. Just tie it together, and you can tuck the end that you don't really want to see around onto the back side. Alrighty, and now that our string is attached, we're actually going to be looking at all the different dots on here, and we're going to come down and skip 1, 2, and come to this third star hole, and this is where we're going to thread our yarn through. So you push it through that third hole, and you've made your first piece of your web. Then you're going to skip 1, 2, and in the next hole, you're going to take your yarn and thread it through that star hole. Kind of looks like it could be a V at this point, not much of a web, but that's okay, because after that, our next move is we're actually going to come back up, and where you started, where your knot would be, you're going to come one hole over, and you're going to thread your yarn through that hole. Part of why we're doing it in this order is to make a very traditional shaped dream catcher that has a little hole in the center, and that's supposed to be the best place for your good dreams to make it through, while the bad dreams get trapped up in all the other tangled pieces. Alrighty guys, so now we've got a little triangle, and the next hole we're actually going to is going to be, oops, we got some hair on there too. It's going to be down here at the bottom. So next to this one, you're going to come down to the one that's right in the middle of your 3 little star punches down there, and thread your yarn through it. It's almost starting to make a star shape, honestly. And now you're going to come up to this hole. So that's, again, to the one side of your knot. And you're going to thread your yarn through that one. It really does almost look like a star right now. Now, from here, you're going to notice we still have one empty hole on this side. And that's the next one that our yarn goes through. Alrighty, perfect. And from there, there's one hole left. You guys can see that one down there, and that's the last hole we're going to go into. But we need one last thread piece to make it go through and complete our shape. We're actually going to take this and put it right back in the hole that we first started with, the one that we tied our yarn onto. And that's going to create your Dreamcatcher web. And as you can see, there's a bigger hole in the middle. That's where the good dreams are supposed to come through. With this piece, I like to go from back here in the back up front to the big hole up here, and then I'm going to tie it in and give myself something to hang it by. Because that's the easiest way to put a dream catcher somewhere, is if you have a little piece of yarn at the top to hang it on. So give it an extra knot so it stays and doesn't stretch on us. And again, you can always tuck the extra pieces of string over, or you can trim them down. Now we have the hanging base of our dream catcher. And part of the Native American legends talk about the bad dreams being caught inside of the web, while the good dreams pass through and are able to follow the string or yarn or whatever we're using down through the feathers and bring all the good energy to you and bring the good dreams. So now we're actually going to go about attaching our strings for our feathers. So we're going to start out with the first of those 3 little holes on the bottom. And again, just make a nice little double knot on the back side of your paper plate. Well, now that one's attached. And we're going to go do the next one. Go ahead and get that one double knotted as well. Sometimes if you're really struggling with making knots, you can always ask for help from a grown-up or even a bigger brother or sister. Okay, we've got 2 on now, and it's time for that third piece. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and tie that part on. And this is where our beads come into play. So in your little baggie, you've got a bunch of different beads. There's some stars, there's some regular circle pony beads, and you're able to make any kind of pattern, any kind of design you would like with your beads. And you're actually just going to thread those on. We'll start with this one on this side. I'm thinking I would like to start with a pony bead, maybe do a little pattern. My next one will be a star bead, and then maybe I'll finish with another pony bead. Sometimes the yarn can be a little tricky to thread through, so while I'm working on this, I'm going to pause the video so that you guys don't have to wait the entire time with me as I get my pieces threaded, and I'll meet you right back here. Alright guys, so I've got about 4 beads on each of my strings. You're welcome to use more. I still have more left in my thing, but I think this is the pattern I like the best. So from here, we're actually going to lay our plate back down, and you're going to select the end of one of the beads. Now there's 2 ways to attach your feathers. One way that'll keep it a little bit longer to do would be to dip your feather in the glue just so that little end piece, however much of an end you've got, gets kind of gluey, if you guys can see it in there. And then what you're going to do with that is you're actually grab your string and you're going to hold your feather up against your string. And it does take a little while for this to work. Sometimes, if you're really careful, while the glue is drying, you can slide some of your beads up to help hold the yarn in place. So I'm going to go ahead and do that one real fast, and then after that one, I'll show you guys the other way to. All right, and if you're like me, sometimes I just don't want to wait. I want to be able to finish a project right away. I'm going to show you how you can attach on there. Some of these also have really short ends to the feathers, and that's okay, and this might actually work better. What you're going to do is take your yarn, and you're actually going to tie a knot around the base of your feather. I go ahead and make a double knot here. And this is much faster, although there is a possibility if someone's really yanking on it that your feather will come off. And from there, you let your beads slide down to the bottom. So you basically could either have it like this, where it's tied, or you could take the time and wait for it to get glued at the bottom. I'm going to leave that guy up to you guys completely because I think it's kind of fun to see the different ways we think about attaching things. At the end of this process, what you're going to have is a customized, to me, very fancy looking dream catcher that you can hang up above your bed at night to hopefully help you get all the good dreams and keep the bad dreams out. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed making your dream catchers as much as I did. I'll see you guys next time.